We have opened up our store where now you can get some of our previous limited edition shirts over at our bonfire page by going to this link or clicking the link in the description. We've got our Saul shirt, Lloyd approved, and more. Plus, now for the first time, you can get these great designs by Sean Millington on these cool mugs, too. Check them out over on Bonfire.
Oh my gosh, what? Did I start on time this time? I might have been like a minute or so behind because there's always that little panic when I go live because there's like two buttons. There's start streaming and then there's go live. And sometimes it takes the go live part of it. Like it's probably not that many seconds, but it kind of feels like an eternity where it's like, oh man, is the button not going to light up? Then I'll kind of start sweating under the hat a little bit. I don't even know why I'm wearing this. Really, I'd probably start sweating underneath it anyway, especially because we shot a couple of midnight screenings earlier. And yes, it is good and important that we've started live streaming and everything, and that I'm sitting here, we'll be reviewing movies, telling some stories again. But even more importantly than that, if you're in the chat right now, speaking of midnight screenings, Jared's in the chat there too. So go ahead and say hi to Jared, everybody, if you are watching this live. If you're not watching this live, look him up on Twitter and go say hi over there. We've already got some super chats coming in. I'll get to that periodically through the show. We do the super chats in between the reviews and before we start the reviews later too. I'll answer the ones that we get before then. So I know this is not usually what people should say at the start of a show like this, but I'm already tired. It's been a full day, people. I mean, 3 episodes in, I've already changed the name of it to Brad Tries Podcasting. It is a better title. It kind of fits it a little bit better. Maybe next week I'll change it to Brad Tries Not Looking at the monitor that's right there and should instead look at the camera that's right in front of me. So it was a normal day in terms of, a pregnancy day. I wake up, spend the rest of the day wiping coffee off of my face. I need the coffee. I am a little tired. So wiping it off my mustache, that's going to keep me awake through the rest of this stream. So I wake up, do what I normally do on Fridays, which is write the notes that I need to write for the movies I'm going to be reviewing later. It's early in the morning. I'm like, hey, here's what I thought of Renfield. Here's what I thought of Pope's Exorcist. And here's definitely what I thought of Beautiful Disaster. Then I put Smarty sent me the edited Mafia Mama review, so that's up right now. So I posted that. Then Laura and I went to go listen to The Heartbeat. Oh, hang on. Uploading the review for Mafia Mama can wait. I've got to go listen to The Child's Heartbeat right now. So we did that earlier, and I am going to get into what the sex is later. We've known that for a few weeks. I was just waiting for a particular episode to talk about that. In fact, I think I might have accidentally said on like the first episode. But I will tell that story later on when we found out the sex of the baby. So Laura goes back to work, and then I come home. I put together I put together my clips and everything that I need. And I am talking about 3 movies on here, but really it's like this is the 3rd, 4th, and 5th movie I've been talking about today. Jared and I shot a couple of midnight screenings earlier. We watched Rock Dog 3. We did that for a requested episode. And we also watched the 1990 Italian horror film Demonia. And those will be incorporated into these live streams as well. Not on this one because I haven't edited it yet, but next week, one of the things that we'll feature on here is the midnight screenings for Rock Dog 3. And sometime after that, we'll get to Demonia as well. Don't want to spoil anything for you, but both movies, quite terrible. One of them I had seen before. The other I haven't, but kind of knew it was going to be terrible. Oh, things are still perfectly normal here. I've still talked about this last week, my prized possession that I guess I've got to give to the child. The old 70s Sesame Street house that's like the one that I had growing up. Now, right now, since the baby's not here yet, Right now, I'm using this to set my coffee on, or maybe it'll still be like that when the baby is born. Like, can I play with that? Because the child is already gonna have my voice. Can I play with that Sesame Street house that you got sitting there? Well, no. As you can see, I'm using it for my coffee, so I can talk about Rock Dog 4. You know, the movie we watched earlier. That wasn't me watching it because of you. It was you watching it because of me. There will be a Rock Dog 4, I'm sure. What are there, 6 Norm of the North movies right now? Jared's probably still in the chat. We got to mark it on the calendar whenever we're gonna watch Rock Dog 4 when that comes out. So for everyone else who had one of these, were you kind of like me, where over time, like half of it would be missing? I remember this. I remember. I don't know whatever happened to the orange part of it. I mean, at one point we had the orange part of it. Then sometime split in half, so we really only had the green part, which I guess that works. I guess that works out to have the green part. I mean, that's where the shop is. That's where we can go and get like tiny snacks and everything. And I also had this one I would like to find as well. I had 2 Sesame Street houses. There was this one, which is very 70s looking. Then there was another one we had too, which was also kind of like this, but a little smaller. But I mean, the structure was about the same. You know, it opened up like this, but it had in the front of it, it had Oscar the Grouch's can, and it had a button on it that you push, and Oscar the Grouch pops up. That's like the only thing I remember about it. There's little things about all these toys where there's like one thing I remember, like the Fisher-Price bar, and we can all still hear the mooing sound in our head. And that one Sesame Street house I remember because it looked like everyone else had moved out because we lost the toys for it, but Oscar the Grouch was still living there. He can't afford to move out or anything. So we do have 3 movies we're going to be reviewing on here. Yesterday I caught a double feature yesterday of The Pope's Exorcist and Renfield. And the day before that, I went to go see the Fathom event screening of a new, I guess, YA movie, or adult YA, emphasis on the A, movie called Beautiful Disaster. One of these movies is getting a very low grade. By my reaction, you could probably tell which one. Other than Rock Dog 3. Actually, one of these movies is getting a lower grade than I gave to Rock Dog 3. What other rambling notes do I have on here? Oh, here's one thing that we're going to do later on, too. If you've seen the Cinema Snob, and especially the poll episodes, you might remember the Tox Box. The Tox Box, which I would use to do a lot of the polls. And it's got a bunch of choices inside of it. And I would pick out random choices, and the 5th one would always be like the stock, like forgotten melodrama or romantic comedy. You know, Independence Day 83 or Windy City or Dreamer or what was the Windy City Dreamer? What was the other? Oh, Soup for One. Soup for One. All of those choices. I remember those choices more so than I do the ones that actually won these polls. So we have been bringing back a lot more polls recently, and I didn't add the stock drama to it because I used a lot of the recent polls to advertise some of our recent year-long retrospectives. So there was like, a bunch of choices from 60, 61. It was like a 1982 one. But we're going to be bringing back the stock drama choice on this one. And at the end of it, I put a lot of new choices in here. There's some of the old ones that were already in here, but I added like a ton. I added so much in here that I didn't know they would all fit in the box, but it turns out if you cut paper really, really tiny, you can actually fit like well over 100 choices in here, and it takes up no room whatsoever. There's Skinamax choices in here. There's Actionsploitation. There's things that were on like our 60, 61, and 82 polls but didn't win. There's sequels to movies that we've already spotlighted, like, Death Wish 4 is in there, Amityville 2 is in there, Left Behind 2 is, Thief in the Night 2 is in there. There's a lot of, and also starts of different franchises we haven't gotten to yet. There's a ton of stuff in here. So near the end of this episode, we will pick out some Tox Box choices for not the next Cinema Snob episode, because the one coming up on Monday is Evil Dead, and that's over on Patreon right now, too, for early viewing. But the week after Monday is what these choices will be. And you can make your choices over at Patreon as well. That's where we put our polls. That's also where you can make midnight screenings requests. If you're a top tier contributor, you can be any kind of contributor and vote in the polls. And there's one tier that starts too with the early viewings of the Cinema Snob, and like I said, The Evil Dead is over there right now as well. I was worried at first that for The Evil Dead, because when I uploaded it like mid last week, it did get hit by copyright, but it got hit by copyright in a way that like it could still be published, like it's still being monetized. You just got to wait for it to be appealed and everything. So it was doing that. So at least it was like, well, okay, there's that. But really quickly, it got cleared. I think it got hit by it might have been Lionsgate. I can't remember, but it got cleared pretty fast. So what do we go ahead and start with the? Oh no, we don't start with the reviews right now. I got to say what the sex of my child is. So Laura and I were already like, no, we don't want to wait. We want to know. We want to know really quickly, and so that was like the blood test that we were really looking forward to. So Laura asks me, she asks, do we do anything for this? Do we have like some kind of party or something? I go, of course, yes. I got an idea. We set off a nuclear bomb, and depending on the color of the acid rain, that'll tell us what the sex of the child is. I was like, no, and it isn't even because I'm like against that. I'm like, to each their own, fine. It's none of my business. I'm just, if that's what you want to do, cool. With me, I'm like, no, I want to know the answer. If I got the answer right here, I don't want to wait and throw together some party or something like that. Let's just open the envelope and say what it is. See, in the chat right now, they're already calling it. They're saying it's a ghoulie. That's good news. That means the kid will go to college. I remember that Ghoulies film. Laura also goes, what if I'm at work and I get the call and they tell me, is it okay if I find out before you? I'm like, yeah, that's fine. So, so one day, this was a few weeks ago, Laura comes home, or she texted me beforehand and said that she was bringing home, she said that at work that someone brought in cupcakes and they had left cupcakes left over. So she comes home, and she comes home with this really nice cupcake. We have a few cupcake shops around us. Like, this was gourmet looking. So in my head, I'm thinking, they really went all out on cupcake day over at your work, man. Like, where do you work? I'm asking her where she works. I should probably have asked you this sooner. Where do you work, honey? So she has this cupcake, and we're about to watch, I think this was a Monday, because I think we were going to watch the premiere of Succession. So, usually, when she gets home and we put on something on TV, I usually have like a snack or a sandwich. So I was like, okay, I'll have some of the cupcake when whatever it is we're watching on TV, whenever we start watching something, that's when I'll have it. And then Laura keeps like dropping hints, like, go ahead, take a bite out of it. I'm like, oh, I'll have it in a little bit. She goes, oh, but I want to try it too. I'm like, well, go ahead. And she's like, but I want you to try it first. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I know this game. What is in here? Fool me once. I learn not to let you poison me again, but this does look delicious. I really want to watch the premiere of Succession, so will the poison at least kick in after the new episode? So she's saying that, and I said like, yeah, I'll have it here in a second. And then she's still saying like, no, dude, I want you to try it now. I wasn't putting it. I'm not good with hints. I'm sorry. Clearly, I'm not. So I'm thinking where I'm going to in my head. It's actually like, wow, she is really pregnant today. I better go ahead and eat this. Like, even though it might be poison, I better go ahead and eat this so I can just chill out on the couch and relax and die, I guess. So I go ahead and take a bite out of it. And it was really good. Some of the chat's like, it was blood filled. Right? Yes, that's her way of telling me that the baby will have blood. I see a lot of different movies like Plutonium Baby and stuff like that. I'm not sure what color the blood the baby's going to have. Turns out it will be red. That's good. It's not something from Extra. So I take a bite. And she goes, what color is the icing? Because it was like cream filled. I look, and the icing was blue. And I'm like, it's blue. And I was like, when I saw that it was blue, I kind of put it together in my head at that point, but I was still trying to play dumb, but I like abandoned that like really quick. Like I go, it's blue. She's like, yeah. I'm like, oh. So we're having a boy. Turns out long story short, filled with cupcakes, plutonium babies, and extra references, rock dogs, all this stuff I've been talking about, wiping coffee up my mustache. So we're having a boy. That's what I wanted. I was keeping my fingers crossed for a boy, honestly. And I had a feeling it would be, but I didn't, because like you never know. I was like, I have a feeling that it'll be a boy because that's what I want. Like so, but she with Laura, I don't know if she really predicted either way. Like I remember a couple of years ago, I remember her talking about how she really wanted a girl, but then that kind of went back and forth over time. She asked me, afterwards, she goes, what would you have done if it was a girl? I'm like, well, I still would have been happy. Of course I would have. And then I would have started crying. Oh, it would have been that scene from, remember in Caligula where he really wanted a boy, but it was a girl? He's like, so I'm going to announce at the hospital like Caligula in my robe, like my son, Brad Drusilla. It's important I work Caligula in there somewhere. It's kind of like my movies where there's always a Caligula reference. So we got a bunch of names picked out. There's one that we're really, really gearing towards that I really, really hope is the name we choose. But I'll save that. I'll go ahead and save that one for a later time. And with that out of the way, let me pull up my notes. Actually, let's take a look at the poll right now. The poll for Renfield. Okay, the poll for Renfield says 59% says that I'll give it a B. Well, let's see if that'll come true. Usually they're pretty good at predicting the polls. Let me pull up my note. Let me go ahead and end this poll and pull up my notes for Renfield. Okay. There we go. What did I think of Renfield? Let me get the old word pad here to tell me first. Okay, that's boy. I can't wait to get to Beautiful Disaster. I'd never heard of this movie till like a week ago. Anyway, ooh, you're in for a treat if you stick around for the Beautiful Disaster review. Let's go ahead and get through Renfield. It's bad when I'm like, all right, let me get through the reviews for the Nick Cage's Dracula movie, the Russell Crowe Exorcist movie, so brace yourselves for the review of the YA movie that I went to go see. All right, so Renfield. Now, this is why I don't really like reviewing trailers. Like, it was fun when me and Sarah would do it over on midnight screenings. Like, that was usually pretty fun. But I would do some trailer reviews, for shorts. Like, I would try that out. I would have, like, little snob reviews for some like, current trailers. Like, when it's talking about stuff from the 60s and 80s, that I like doing. But in terms of, like, current trailer reviews, because I never really, even sometimes when I'm 99.9% sure what I'll think about a movie, there is that still 0.1% chance I could be totally wrong from what I talked about with the trailer. And there's always a chance that I could be surprised with something. And with Renfield, yeah, a lot of people were really, really sold on that trailer. And I can see why. I love Nick Cage. You know how much I love Nicolas Cage. But I wasn't. So a lot of people really liked the trailer, but I wasn't really sold on it because a lot of the humor in the trailer looked like it wasn't really going to be my taste. It didn't necessarily. It's not that I thought it looked bad or anything like that. It when I was watching it, I was kind of going, at least the trailer, I was like, is this going to be a lot of ramble comedy? Is it going to be too ironic? Like, I don't know. But, like, so there was something about it. I was like, is this a thing that's going to have, like, white TT exploitation? Is that going to be, like, a thing that we're doing? So, but I did like the movie a lot better than I liked the trailer. There is a lot of good qualities here. Even moments that I didn't really laugh at in the trailer, I found funny in the actual movie. The best part is, of course, the heavy and a bit on the nose, but still original satire on this working relationship between Renfield and Dracula. Because Nicholas Hoult and Nicolas Cage are fantastic, and they pretty much hit all the points about this abusive relationship. Plus their codependency and Dracula's narcissism. That stuff works. You genuinely feel bad for Renfield, and Nick Cage makes a great villain, and he's everything that you'd want a Nicolas Cage Dracula to be. It's, like Vampire's Kiss if he actually really did turn into a vampire. But the weird thing about it is, and like I said, all that stuff works. The weird thing about it is like everything that I just mentioned, it kind of takes a back seat to what the main plot of the movie is, in which the villains in it are a gang of drug dealers. There's several points in the first act when I was thinking, okay, is this just a cop film where Awkwafina is a police officer who's avenging the death of her father, who was killed by the drug dealers, who again are kind of the main villains in this, and this movie just happens to have Dracula and Renfield in it? Like, I was thinking that a lot, like in the first half hour of it. And it is bizarre that that's the avenue they went down with this. It sort of makes it feel like a TV pilot. Like if a show is on network TV and it has an original backstory, but someone was like, you know what, just make it a procedural. But it's not like there isn't good stuff there. I thought Awkwafina was quite good in it, and I wouldn't mind seeing her in a dark comedy cop film. But it did really take the focus away from the more clever things here, to where all the satire with Dracula just kind of comes and goes. And the effects are a little inconsistent. There's some great makeup and times with some cool props and practical effects, but then there's other times where there's bad CGI blood. But it is an entertaining film, and I like that there are deaths in it that are quite sad and tragic. It kind of goes back on that later on, but again, I mean there is some good jokes there too. But the performances are good. There are solid laughs in it, and it's not like the cop plot is done badly. It's just that it's a movie that could be more clever as a whole than it is. It's weird in that the movie is actually better than I liked it better than I thought it would from the trailer. But even sitting there, I could see where if it just focused more on the title character. And he is the main character, he is. But if they focused more on that relationship between him and Dracula, it could have been better, even though it is still better than I thought it would. But in terms of the grade, and I gotta hang on a sec, I gotta read this real quick. It's what someone wrote. It's what someone wrote over in the chat when they were predicting the grade. Okay, so this is from Steve George. And I didn't change my grade, by the way. This is what I wrote in my notes. This is a comment from Steve George who says, "My guess is based on on triangulating your responses to action schlock, Christian movies, adult entertainment, and Nicolas Cage. So my guess is a B-." You see, folks, this guy used science, and he is 100% right. That is what I'm giving this. This is a B-. It's, if you go to like a matinee screening of it, you'll probably have a good time. The action does keep moving in the movie. It's a good-looking flick. It's very colorful. There's always something going on. There's good reactions in it. There are some good one-liners. If you go to like a late-night matinee screening with some friends, you'll probably have a good time. Or simultaneously, if you watch it at home on a Friday or something, which actually that kind of recommendation will come up here in a little bit too. But it's the movie's not bad. I'm not in love with it, but it's okay. All right, let me go ahead and get to the super chat questions right here. Okay, this is a super chat question from Cody Bishop, who says, "Hey Brad, any chance we will see another midnight screenings with the old gang, Sarah, Brian, Dave, and do you have any special memory from those times reviewing movies with them?" Plenty of great memories. Yeah, of course. I mean, we've talked about it for a long time, but something always came up. I remember me and Sarah were going to do a midnight screenings of Cats, but for some reason we didn't make it. Like, we were originally going to make it down to Springfield when Cats came out, but didn't for some reason. I can't remember why, but we weren't able to do that. And then there was some other stuff that we were going to do midnight screenings on, but then COVID happened. So a lot of things got pushed back. But yeah, I don't know what it'll be for. There's a lot of stuff where, like, Sarah and I will text each other and be like, "Did you go see this? Did you go see this?" I'm sure when I go see Book Club 2, I'm like, "Did you go see Book Club 2?" Yeah, next time I visit Springfield, and if times line up and everything, then yeah, we'll see if we can put something together. Same with the state fair too. That's another thing that we've tried getting together and doing more of too, is making a trip back down to Springfield and doing something from the state fair or midnight screenings or something like that. As for, like, one thing that I think of a lot in terms of doing that show was those first 2 years of doing midnight screenings where all the movies were actually at midnight. And I don't know how we did. I mean, we did it, and it wasn't hard. That just tells you, I guess, how much I've aged since then. And that I remember the hardest thing about doing those first couple of years of midnight screenings, when, again, the movies were all at midnight, and we were fine. We showed up alert. We weren't tired or anything. We just went to go see a bunch of movies at midnight. I remember the hardest thing was actually killing time before the movie started, kind of sitting at home bored. Like, is it like 11:30 yet, so we can start heading down to the movie theater? Sometimes I would just head to the movie theater way earlier than I needed to, just to, I don't know, be in the arcade for a little bit. Now, I'm like, nowadays, I'm like, oh, the movie's at 9. Oh, that's my prime getting into bedtime. When I'm getting into bed, not going to sleep, but I am watching something on TV, like a late night talk show or something, and waiting to go to bed and waiting to fall asleep. All right, what do we got? Another one here. This is from Matt Florent. If they make a sequel to Renfield, it needs to have Blade. Sure, why not? Probably be better than Blade. Well, it probably would be better than Blade 3. And the movie does actually tie into the the Bela Lugosi Dracula. Like, when it's showing their backstory at the beginning, it's the Bela Lugosi Dracula, but they put Nick Cage and Nicholas Holt's faces over them. So it is kind of like, oh, I guess this is in continuity with the with the Bela Lugosi one. Okay, so is it now time to talk about the Pope's Exorcist? All right, let's get the Pope's Exorcist out of the way so I can get to that YA thing that I went to go see. All right, Pope's Exorcist. Here's the latest demon possession film. It's like you can't even really say anymore, like, oh, it's this year's demon possession film. More like it's this season's demon possession film. It's not even the first demon possession film that I've seen this year. And as generic as the trailer looked, and the trailer did look, it's a possession film. There really is only so much you can do anymore. So, well, sometimes ones will come out and they're kind of crazy and they still surprise you. But with this one, the fact that it had Russell Crowe in it made me think, all right, there will at least be some elements here that might be a bit more ambitious than something like Pray for the Devil that came out last year, which was pretty bad. And even when I see Russell Crowe in something schlocky, like Unhinged, he still elevates it. And he makes you glad you're going along for the ride for it. I love it when Crowe pops up in something that I didn't even know he would be in. Like, we went to that surprise screening of Greatest Beer Run Ever. Again, not that great of a movie, but I never got a trailer for that movie before seeing it, so I didn't know Russell Crowe was in it. And he pops up a bit into the movie, and I was like, oh, thank God Russell Crowe is here. So, anyway, with let me pop up my clip. There we go. So Russell Crowe, yeah, he's easily the best part of this movie. And when the movie works, it works when it leans in on his character, and a lot more comedy elements than the previews made it seem. In it, Crowe's priest character, he rides around on a moped. He chugs whiskey. He gets demons out of people by daring them to possess a pig. It's got parts where a priest says, "I got this," and then goes into a room with a possessed child and seconds later is being thrown out the door. There's the scantily clad older sister who goes around looking like she walked out of a 2000s Platinum Dunes remake. When Crowe figures out that the kid is possessed, he says, "Get me some coffee. We're gonna be up late. They do most of their evil at night." Like, he'll be sitting with his sidekick and talking about evil and say, "Just ask my friend." And he holds up a skull. Like, he holds up a skull that he found in a well. And he says, "Ask my friend here. Oh, look at this. Come with me. Look at this well I found." Like, he is very, very funny in it. There'll be this, like, big, bloody battle with effects and everything, and he'll look at his assistant and say, "Well, you look like shit. Cheers." And then he'll drink some more whiskey. And I love him in this. I think he's excellent. I love this character. I love that it's based on a real guy. Like, he is. You could probably tell it from the trailer. He is the best part of the movie. Even at the end, it sets it up like they want to franchise it. And you know what? I kind of am all for that if they want to start making more movies in the Pope's Exorcist universe, because I want to see this character in a way more original movie like this, because I think that there is a lot to work with here, a lot more than this movie necessarily offers. Crowe and the humor is where the movie works. Where it doesn't is, unfortunately, the straight-up horror elements. Evil escapes and finds the creepiest kid it could find. The kid who looks like a death metal Mick Jagger. Sure, he'll do. It's everything you've ever seen in a possessed kid movie. Vomit, head spinning, screaming vulgarities, crab walking, words carved on his chest. It's all there. And no matter how crazy it may get, it's just so been there, done that it was never creepy, and all that stuff about it just kind of went in one ear and out the other. Like, I was not retaining a lot of information when it came to the actual horror stuff about it. But Crowe's character, that I was like, okay, yeah, I want to see more of this. Like, yeah, it's a more well-made and well-acted movie than, like, The Devil Conspiracy, but The Devil Conspiracy was way more original. and it was more entertaining than this. This movie, it's a C+. Kind of going back to what I said earlier, how Renfield, like, you know, you could see Renfield at a matinee, or you'd also be fine renting it. This one, I don't know if you need to go out to a matinee and seeing it, but it is completely serviceable as something you rent on a Friday night. It is Russell Crowe who really does elevate this. And I like that we're seeing these, like, older character actor Russell Crowe movies. Oh, did I accidentally show the clips from Beautiful Disaster? Oh, well, that's hilarious. Did I? Hang on. I'm seeing people mention Beautiful Disaster. That's funny. Oh my God. That's hilarious. Ooh. Oh, Smarty's gonna have a fun time editing. Hey, Smarty, if you're watching, I'll send you the clips for. I wasn't even. That's hilarious. How did I not even notice that? The two movies are nothing alike. Oh, that's great. See, you're he'll have a fun time editing that. Okay, well, maybe when I review Beautiful Disaster, I should go ahead and just show clips from the Pope's Exorcist. I don't think I did it on both. Did I? Both the times that I was showing some clips. I am that tired. That's funny. I like that kind of mistake where I don't like the kind of mistake where it's like, oh, it turns out I wasn't streaming this whole time, or oh, it turns out the connection's bad, it's choppy, or anything like that. But the mistake of showing clips of this terrible YA movie with Cage fighting, poker, and bizarre sex scenes over the Russell Crowe demon possession film. It makes it look like, I'm like, what does Brad mean that this is less original than Devil Conspiracy? It looks way more original as a demon possession film. Okay, well, anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at some super chat right here. That's fantastic. All right. This is from, I think I have a couple here. Senor Sticks asks, idea for Snob Movie 3, Cinema Snob the Multiverse. No. I mean, nah. Multiverse. It's all kind of the same universe anyway as the other things that I've done. That sounds like the budget would get out of control. I don't know. Bring in characters from like the old series, like we had a show years ago called the 80s Dan. Bring in 80s Dan, bring in Kung Tai Ted, this karate character we used to have. Bring in those characters in a third Snob movie. I doubt I would do something like that, but I would love to do a third Snob movie. I don't think it'll happen anytime soon, but no, I already have ideas for it. Like, even when we were doing the second movie, I was like, I know what I want to do with the third. The third would be, like, way more lower budget than the second movie was. But I always wanted the third movie to be a 3D movie. So, if I do a third one, yeah, it would totally be like a 3D movie. Like, maybe they're in a haunted house or something like that. Something to keep the budget small. That would be fun. Sometime that'll happen. But I gotta be a father for a little while before I do a 3D haunted house movie. All right, Mid-Toker Mary says, hi, Brad. Love from Norway, Ireland. Oh, thank you very much. Long-time fan, first-time caller. Hope all is well. Do I have a favorite Japanese movie? Have a great weekend. Oh, that's a tough, off the top of my head question. I don't know. Yojimbo, maybe. I'd have to think long and hard about that. But that one's certainly up there. Oh, Godzilla's Revenge, of course. The best one. That one sums up a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stock footage in there. You can get caught up on some previous Godzilla movies you watch. Okay, now I guess I should go. Now that I've spoiled the clips for Beautiful Disaster, maybe I saw Beautiful on there and thought, oh, am I talking about Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe? Beautiful Mind, the one where Russell Crowe thought he was an exorcist and wasn't. He was just seeing demons and put them in a pig and was talking to the pig. He lived happily ever after with his wife at the end of the movie. He might have gotten an Oscar nomination or something. So, okay, now I guess now I can go ahead and talk about Beautiful Disaster. If you're just now tuning in, I was talking about Pope's Exorcist and accidentally showed clips of the other movie. Okay, so Beautiful Disaster. This is a Fathom event movie. I actually didn't know that until I went to go see it. I knew that there was a YA movie coming out that was called Beautiful Disaster because it was listed over at the theater that I normally go to, and then suddenly it was gone. I'm like, oh, well, you taking it away. Now I just want to see it even more. They were playing it at one of the other theaters, so I got tickets for it at another theater, and I saw that it was from the director of one of the After movies. Might have been the third one. I've only seen the first After film. Actually, I should put After in the Tox box, maybe. Just like, cause I've run out of those, like, schlocky romances to talk about ever since I finished the 365 Days movie. So this one was from the director of, like, After We Collided. I'm like, well, that might have some material to talk about it. I go in there, and like a lot of Fathom event screenings, there was like a quiz playing on the screen about the books and about I guess just about the books, like maybe a little about the movie, I'm not sure. But they were asking these questions like, I don't know, because I haven't read the book. I'm sitting there, they're asking me these things. I'm like, I am the wrong person to be asking this. I know I'm here right now, but I don't even know this main character's name, let alone that he's a cage fighter. I'm assuming he's a cage fighter because one of the questions is how many fights does Taylor lose? Trick question. He loses 0 fights. Kind of Fonzie YA thing am I about to walk myself into. It was sad for a while. Before the movie started, for a while, I was the only one there. It is not the heyday of YA movies anymore. I remember when I would have to go see stuff for the site, like, you know, we'd go see the Twilight movies and everything, and I would be like the only guy there. I'm like not even kidding. They'd be packed. I'd be the only dude there, which made it easy to use the restroom at the end of it. There'd be a line outside the women's room, and I just walk my happy ass in, just, you know, take a leak and leave. Bye. See you at the next Twilight film. With this one, a few people did show up, and I was still the only guy there. But I was the youngest person there. That was odd. I was like the youngest person there. And it looked like it was just like a group come together that are still holding out for a return of this kind of YA movie. I could tell they were fans of the book, because after the movie I could hear them really mad about the movie, and they were going into detail about why, like, this was an adaptation that doesn't work. So I don't know if universally this is considered to be a bad adaptation, because I never heard of this book until I saw the listing for this movie. So I don't know how accurate this is. You want to know the plot of the movie? I'll tell you the plot to this. The plot of this is Abby is, she's a nice girl. I think she might have gone to a religious high school. I'm not sure. So she goes off to college, but she falls for the bad boy, Travis. Did I say Taylor earlier? I guess his name's Travis. I don't know. Taylor, Travis. Either one of them works in a movie like this. So I think it might be Travis. All right. Travis. So she falls for the bad boy, Travis, even though she is desperately trying hard not to fall for him, but she does. There you go. That's kind of the plot for the most part for the first couple of acts of the movie. Okay, I'm going to show clips right now. Let me make sure I don't. Oh, no, look at what I did. Okay, let's actually show. I'm laughing right now thinking that this is playing over me talking about Pope sexes. Okay. All right. So this movie, it does have the best meet cute that I've seen in a while. First day of college, she goes with her friends to an underground fight club where she sees the handsome Travis, who knocks the man out, and slow motion blood flies all over Abby. And he already has a nickname for her, Pigeon, because it's like Lady and the Tramp. If it had a scene where drunk lady vomited all over Tramp. So after the fight, she goes home, masturbates, and she likes or hates Travis depending on the scene and depending on the line. She'll be sitting in class. She'll be sitting in the class and be looking at like his shirtless Instagram and just saying, like, literally going like, oh my God, he is so hot. And he's just sitting there leering behind her, watching her look at his like shirtless Instagram photos. She'll be like, ew, go away, I hate you. Like, this goes on and on and on and on. And you know he's a bad boy. You know he's a bad boy because he rides a motorcycle. He's got tattoos. His brothers all wrestle around in the front yard like they're Marshall's brothers from How I Met Your Mother. He's got a drawer full of condoms Like, she's like, hey, where can I get a brush? He's like, oh, that drawer right there. Wait, no, not that one. That's where I keep my condoms. Because now it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Oops. Oh, sorry. That's my Magnum condom for my huge monster dong. Fellow college student. Oh, my God. Right. Before they get together, she does walk in on him, like, banging this hot French girl. And then... This is one of the weirdest parts of this movie. So afterwards, she's not, because they're not together at this point, so it's not like she's like, oh, you cheated on me or anything like that. She's asking him about all the girls that he hooks up with, and he's like, no, it's okay. I meet them on this app right here. And he holds up an app, and the app is called Consent Date, which that opens up a lot of questions. One, if someone holds up that app, I'm thinking like, the opposite is true of this person who is holding this up. And if this app is called Consent Date, what are the other dating apps like in this universe? This universe is so weird, I really don't even want to ask these questions. So, hang on. Move down to... There we go. Okay. So there's almost a love triangle, too, where she meets a med student who looks like he's one of the professors, and he takes her to a cage match because everyone goes to fight clubs in this. And that's where Travis is still fighting. And he sees Abby in a dress, and he's like, do you mind? You're distracting me. I can't fight. Your tits look amazing. Oh, and she meets the med student, by the way. The dialogue in this movie is horrible. She meets the med student because she accidentally throws a frisbee into his balls, and then they have a lot of puns about balls. He's on the ground crying. You know he's the sensitive type because he's wearing a pink sweater. So he's, crying. He got hit in the nuts. He leaves, and then when they see each other again later, the first thing she asks him, how are his balls? The acting in the movie is not great, but the dialogue in the movie is really, really bad. So I don't want to put it completely on this movie. This is the kind of movie that it does have jokes that you would see in a sitcom like decades ago, where she's living with Travis and some other roommates. They come home and her and her girlfriends are doing like yoga in front of the TV, and they're like, whoa, bro, and like checking out their asses and shit. He like slaps her on the ass when she gets in front of the TV and they're watching sports. And you think that one guy is like, oh, this one dude watches sports, so he's like macho and shit. And then later on, like they do a gag where they come home and he's watching reality television and he's crying like, dude, what are you doing? No, I'm not. No, Dad, I just got something in my eye right now. Like that's kind of a lot of the humor in this. And for the first two acts of it, I was kind of writing an F for the first two acts of this film. It was like AI created a YA film, only made it R-rated with raunchy humor. Like he wakes up and sees that she's asleep, and yet is playing with his erection because she thinks it's something else in her dream. Like she thinks it's a toy. She's fiddling around with his erection through the sheets. And then when she wakes up, he has to explain to her what morning wood is. It's like an argument that they have where he is breaking down what morning wood is. That is what Twilight needed. Actually, kind of, yeah. So I was writing an F for a while on this thing because it wasn't well made. It wasn't well acted. The dialogue was terrible. The jokes are like old jokes that you see in something like this. But then the last half hour of this movie goes absolutely insane. And I hope you don't mind. I'm going to spoil the end of this movie. I have to talk about everything that happens in the last half hour of this, because before then, the movie is just what you've seen in a lot of stuff like this, just done way worse. Nice girl goes to college, meets the bad boy. There's a nicer guy who's kind of into her, but, she's like, no, I want to be with the cage fighter who slapped my ass and knocked blood all over my face, and is so jealous, has such jealousy issues that at one point he sees a text from her dad, and all it says is just like, I miss you, or something like that. Like, it's nothing scandalous. Like, it just says like, hey, I miss you, or something. And he gets so mad about this, he doesn't say anything to her. He just leaves the apartment, goes out and gets drunk all night, and comes back, like kidnaps the neighbor's cat, and comes back home and is like, you're cheating on me. And like, so anyway, yeah, this is the guy who she's supposed to end up with, I guess. But anyway, so it's got a lot of that stuff going on in the movie. But speaking of her dad, the movie in the last half hour becomes a Las Vegas poker thriller where her and her dad are estranged because her dad is a gambling addict who owes a lot of money to like everybody in Vegas. And she herself and him were like banned from a lot of casinos because she is also like an expert poker player and was from the age of 13. Like, she was 13 years old and she would help her dad win like a lot of games, apparently. So she was very, very good, and she's trying to distance herself from that. But she does try to get back in touch with her dad. She's drunk, and she like drunk dials her dad. So the next day he calls her and she says where she's in college and everything. Then after that, a mafia guy shows up in a truck and says to her like, yeah, Abby, you're going to need to come with me. She's like, no, I don't want to go with you. He's like, I'm going to need you to get in the car. No, I don't want to get in the car. He's like, look, if you don't get in the car, we're going to break your dad's legs. Your dad owes a lot of money to a lot of very important people. You get in the car or else we're going to break your dad's legs. So then it becomes a plot where she goes to Las Vegas. Her dad is being held captive by Rob Estes. It was cool seeing him back. By Rob Estes from Silk Stockings. He shows up as this mafia guy he knows that she's an expert poker player, so he tells her she's got to enter this high stakes game to win $100,000, which is what her dad owes to Rob Estes. So she puts on like a nice dress. She goes to this high stakes poker game where she pretends to be dumb, like to get everyone to bet against her or whatever. She pretends to be dumb, like holding her cards the other way or being like, what's this mean? Like being too dumb where anyone would know they're being hustled, but they don't. They just think she's the luckiest person in the world who starts eating her own foot at one point. Not really, but she's doing a lot of stupid shit during this poker game. So she ends up winning this money. But then the security guard recognizes her because he went to high school with her. Recognizes her, says to her like, Abby, it's great to see you again, but I know you're underage, so I'm going to have to take these poker chips, which underage, okay, sure. Anyway, so he says, you're underage, I'm going to have to take this. Don't worry, I'm letting you off with a warning, but you just go on. So she calls her dad and is like, Dad, you have to run. I didn't get the money. They took it away. But meanwhile, Dylan Sprouse, his name, Taylor, Travis, whatever. Dylan was the character, Dylan, the bad boy, Dylan Sprouse. He just suddenly knows she's missing because she's not there in the morning. He's like, oh my God, someone has clearly taken her. And then just finds out where she is, breaks into the mafia guy's office. A fight happens in which the henchman comes out, rips off his shirt and says, I'm Dane, I crush you now. Then the last act of this movie turns into a Van Damme film. There's a fight scene with Dylan Sprouse and like a lot of Russians in this film. So like this bloody fight happens. The two of them get away. This is like if Stephanie Meyer wrote a James Toback film. It's so weird. They get away. They get back to the hotel. She's mad at him because she's like, you made things worse. I didn't need to be rescued. Then they bang hard. They rail so hard in the hotel room. They break the sink. They break the mirror. They break the dresser. Everything in the room is just broken by the end of this sex scene. And on the one hand, I'm like, okay, I guess I kind of admire they're going for a much raunchier type of YA movie with some, like, this is definitely, I think it's unrated, but it would definitely be an R. Yet on the other hand, it's like they want to go so far in this direction, yet the movie still doesn't have any nudity in it. So like, okay, you might as well just made it a PG-13, but whatever. So Dylan Sprouse works out a deal because they took the $100,000 back. Dylan Sprouse works out a deal with the mobster that he will start cage fighting for him. This like big fight that's going on in which the winner will get $100,000 or something like that. So again, he's fighting like it kind of turns into Rocky IV. Like he's fighting like another big Russian dude, and like the Russian national anthem starts playing when this guy comes out, and things, as if that wasn't crazy enough, there's a person in the audience who throws a drink and it hits some cables in this cage fighting room, and the place catches on fire. That's not even the most insane thing that happens here, because it turns out the twist is this was all a giant ruse. This was a con job in which Rob Estes, the security guard who Abby went to high school with, and her dad and a bunch of other people, this was a con job that they all started so that they could get Abby to win this $100,000 so that they could all just take it for themselves. Why? I don't know why. Rob Estes already looks rich. I don't know why they need it, or why they'd even bring in the security guard, because she was already going to bring the money to them. Why did they need the security guard to take the money, and then this whole other side ruse things happen? So Abby is pissed off. She finds her dad. She finds the security guard. She tasers both of them. She gets in the car and like tases her dad. And her dad's like, I needed the, Abby, I'm so sorry. I needed the money. And she yells at her dad. She's like, Dad, get a job. And it sets up for a sequel. You know how I know this? Because at the end, I'm not even kidding, at the end it cuts to black and it says, the end. Or is it? It actually does do that. And I'm sitting there going, I hope it's not the end. Make it a trilogy, like the After trilogy. And I only saw the first After movie and barely remember anything about it. So that was... Don't rush out into theaters to go see it, because it really only gets crazy in the last part of it. Other than that, this movie is a D-. If you get some friends together and watch it, even in the first two acts, the dialogue is so bad, the chemistry is so off, that you can get some laughs out of watching it. You can. It just goes in a wildly different direction in the last part of it. I came home and I told Laura, I go like, I wish you were there. It had been a while since we watched a bad YA movie together. So that was Beautiful Disaster. No, it's a D. It's not just a D, it's a D-. Yeah, the movie's a D. It's a D-, but see it. It's not the best bad movie of the year. That would be Devil Conspiracy, but it's close. It's close to being this year's redeeming love. Okay, let's go to some super chat questions. This is from JP Fryer, who says, "Hi Brad. Fun fact, my dad is a park ranger, and part of 65 was filmed where he works. He met the directors and saw Adam Driver from not far away." I liked 65. I did. I watched that. We did. We were at C2E2 a couple weeks ago, and we always do a panel there that's called Movies Everybody Disagrees with You On. And at the beginning of it, those of us on the panel also say movies that people disagree with us on. And I had just seen 65, and I liked it a lot better than critics did. So that was what I mentioned at that particular panel. I watched that movie, and I was like, this just feels like it's very straightforward, very simple, kind of throwback to an old school like Roger Corman type movie about dinosaurs. And I had fun. I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was relatively suspenseful in some scenes. It was good at being 65. It's not complicated. It's just Adam Driver crashes on Earth, fights some dinosaurs, and it was pretty good at being that kind of movie. I don't know. I enjoyed it. And Laura and I both liked it. And I was sitting there going, am I crazy? I just think this is an all right movie. And then I watched the Double Toasted review, and Chris Herman said the same thing on there. He liked it for the same reason I did. I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy. Okay. That is totally what this movie is. It's a throwback to something you'd see at the drive-in 50 years ago with some dinosaurs, some big bugs, and dude going around shooting some dinosaurs. Okay, so let's actually let's go ahead and do the Tox box right now. I think there's some ads going on here. That's the first time I've seen that. All right, on. I'm learning things new about this program every single time. All right, let's go ahead and do the Tox box. Now, this is where I'll pick out 4 choices from here, and then there'll be the stock choice, the stock, that's always like Windy City or something like that. The stock melodrama, romantic comedy, like forgotten movie choice. So this will be what you can vote on over on Patreon for an upcoming Cinema Snob episode. It'll be the Snob episode that would air a week from Monday. And go to patreon.com/thecinemasnob where you can vote for it over there. As soon as I get done streaming on here, I'll go ahead and add the poll. So let's go ahead and I've shaken it up quite a bit already. Shake it up a little bit more. Let's see what our first choice is. It's actually kind of fun doing this. Live. Okay. All right. The first choice is Safari 3000. Safari 3000 is a kind of a Cannonball Run knockoff. In the trailer, they even mentioned Burt Reynolds in the trailer. It's I think it was a Canon movie. I know the VHS is an MGM VHS, but this was with David Carradine and Stockard Channing. I talked about it in, I don't remember if it was 82 or 81. One of those year-in reviews, I talked about Safari 3000. So, okay, Safari 3000, that's the first choice. Then Scanners 2. Okay, Scanners 2. I did talk about Scanners 1 on a Snob episode. So we got Safari 3000, Scanners 2, which I haven't seen. I've only seen the first Scanners film. I haven't seen the sequels. I don't even know if I've seen Scanner Cop, honestly. The sequel to Enter the Ninja. What is it? Is it Return of the Ninja or Revenge of the Ninja? The second one. It just says Ninja on here. Well, that could be several things. Look at the background. It could be Ninja Kids. Could be Challenge of the Ninja. Could be a redo of like a Pierre Kirby movie or something like that. But anyway, that second in the Ninja trilogy, where the third one is Ninja 3, the demon possession one. Okay. The Burning. This has been on the poll. The Burning's a great slasher film. The Burning's been on the poll quite a few times. It never wins, obviously. It's been up there a lot. Phantasm has been on the polls a lot, and it's in the box too. And Amityville 2 has also been on the polls quite a bit. They may have been on the polls longer than Windy City was. Okay, so you've got those, and also let's get the Village. Now, this one has been on the poll before, and it hasn't won. So I am bringing back what the most recent stock fifth choice is, which is the forgotten 70s rom-com Something Short of Paradise with Susan Sarandon and David Steinberg. That's the fifth choice. I know it's been on the poll at least a few times. I think the longest stock choice to be on the poll was probably Windy City. But okay, so those are your 5 choices. As soon as I get done here, you can make those you can vote on those over at patreon.com/thecinemasnob, and I'm going to answer some more questions right here. And then we'll head on out of here for the night. And I'll send Smarty that message and be like, yeah, so do you mind putting footage from the trailer for Pope's Exorcist over the review for the Pope's Exorcist? Why didn't you use the trailer for it already? Because I'm a dumbass, and apparently I confused it with a YA movie. All right. This is Matthew Pickard says, "Hey, Brad, love your content. Shame the Geek isn't on YouTube anymore. Wizard World recap with the nudist bar was great, too." I don't even remember that. Did I go to a nudist bar at a Wizard World? I probably did. I've been to a lot of Wizard Worlds. Did they do nudist bars at Wizard Worlds? Well, if they took that away, that's why Wizard World isn't Wizard World anymore. Wizard World would still be Wizard World if still had the nudist bars. Okay. The geek. But yeah, they wouldn't want the geek to be over on YouTube. But it is over on our uncut channel. There's an uncut version. The uncut version of our review for the geek is over on the uncensored Cinema Snob page. So is an uncut version of the recent Super Hornio Brothers we did. This is from Matt the Man. Hey there, Brad. Thank you for all you do and your videos through the years. You have always given me a laugh when I didn't have one. Well, I'm hilarious without even trying. I can't even. This is an emphasis on the word tries in Brad Tries Podcasting. I can't even get the clips right. Do you know how long it's taken me to get a microphone for content? I've been doing YouTube for 15 years, give or take, because there was the time period we were on blip and had to come back. Only now do I have a microphone. And is it a microphone that people usually use where it's on a stand or they clip it to their shirt or something like that? No. I'm much more comfortable holding a microphone. So give it another 15 years. I might have better camera quality. Actually, the camera quality has improved over the years. I'm thinking back to the Geek episode right now. That's a very blurry. I had to show a clip or a pic. Oh, it was in the Evil Dead Cinema Snob episode I just did, where I showed a picture of me, because in some of the older Snobs, like very old Snob episodes, you can see an Evil Dead poster in the background, and I had to find an episode where I did that. And even looking at that, I'm looking at those old episodes going like, how the hell did this show catch on? So, okay. I think that's all we got with the Super Chat question. So, again, like I said, as soon as I get down here, I'm going to add those choices over on Patreon for the Patreon poll episode of the Cinema Snob. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Next week, I'm probably going to start doing these on Saturdays. And the only reason is I believe the next season of Joe Bob's The Last Drive-In starts next week, so I don't want to be streaming at the same time as that. So I'm probably gonna go ahead and like move this to Saturdays at least while that season is going on. And that will be Beau is Afraid is next week, Evil Dead Rise, and I've got a mystery movie on Monday, so I'll have 3 reviews for that, and then also Jared and I will have our midnight screenings that I'll include in this for Rock Dog 3. Oh, okay. Matthew Pickard adds the nudist bar was the one where you and Jake went to. Oh, the sci-fi speed dating. I remember doing that. Yeah. The sci-fi speed dating that we did. I got a handful of phone numbers at it. I was kind of mean about that when we did that. I mean, we were talking some shit about that. But, the guy tried. But the only problem with it was like, we couldn't leave. Like, that was it. Like, we had to wait through the whole thing to get our papers, so we couldn't leave. Like that part. Other than that, they tried putting something together there. I don't know if they still do sci-fi speed dating or not, but okay. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. That was a lot of fun. I hope you have a great weekend. Take care.